If you're currently copying data from one sheet and pasting it into another manually, just stop. You're literally wasting hours of your life. Data analysis isn't about working harder, it's about building systems that work for you. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the 3 exact functions that I turn this into this automated dashboard. Let's get into it. All right, so now that we're in Excel, you can see that we have one CSV with all of our data, and then we have another one with our lookup totals or our dashboard data. So traditionally, you might be thinking that a VLOOKUP would be a great function for this, but that's the old way. And let's be honest, counting column numbers can be a little bit tedious, and VLOOKUP doesn't have the functionality to look left in this scenario. So we're gonna be using the XLOOKUP function. All right, so in cell G7, I'm gonna do our XLOOKUP equals XLOOKUP. Our lookup value in this case will be our product, which will be our pro laptop. We'll press comma, and then we'll choose our lookup array, which will be all of our product listings right here. We are gonna press F4 to lock in those values. We'll press comma again, and then we're gonna select our return array, which would be our price right here. We'll go ahead and press F4 again, and then we'll close that with the parentheses. We'll press enter, and then we see that we have a price of $1,200 for our pro laptop. And what we can do is we can press shift down, and then Control D to send all of those down. Control Z to back that up. Alternatively, you could just press this little green button in the bottom right-hand corner, double click that, and that would send down all of our data as well. What's great about the XLOOKUP function is it's faster, it doesn't break when you move columns, and it makes you look like a wizard in the office. So our data is now connected, but now your manager walks in and says, hey, can I get the sales for the North region? I need it in 5 minutes. The amateur move here is to turn on the filter buttons, uncheck the boxes, copy visible cells, and paste them into a new sheet. The problem? Next week when the data updates, you'll have to do that entire manual process again. So instead, we're gonna use the filter function. All right, so back in Excel, I created a dashboard for us, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the filter function. All right, so in Excel B6, I'm gonna press equals filter, and then I'm gonna select my array from our dashboard right here, and then I'm gonna press comma, and then I'm gonna select our region right here, and then put equals, and then I'm gonna go back to our cell F1 right here that we set up for a dynamic list, and then go ahead and close that with the parentheses and press enter, and you see that we get an error. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a dynamic drop-down list. So I'm gonna go back to our dashboard data right here, and then in cell D3, I'm gonna type equals unique, and then I'm gonna select our array, which would be our regions right here. And I'm actually gonna drop this low to row 160, and you'll also see why in a second. And now you see I have a full list of all of our regions. So I'll go back to my dashboard, go back to cell F1, and then we're gonna go to data, and then we're gonna select data validation, and I'm gonna select a list, and our source will be our dashboard data. I'll go ahead and select this right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this right here and put a hashtag. So that way if we have any additional inputs, that would be automatically captured since this is a filtered array. So I'll go ahead and press OK. So now back into our dashboard, if I go ahead into our dropdown and I select North, we see that we automatically get our data from that data visual tab and everything updates. And I can always switch this to West or South or East, whatever I need to provide in terms of data, the filter function will automatically provide it for us. All right, so we have the raw data, we have filtered data, now we need a summary table. Usually you'd insert a pivot table, and pivot tables are great, but they don't update automatically. You have to right click and refresh every single time new data is added. And that is why I prefer a formula-based dashboard. We're gonna combine unique with the SUMIFS function, and let's go ahead and take a look in Excel. All right, so back in Excel in cell J10, I'm gonna type in equals unique. Once again, I'm gonna select my array as our products, and I'm gonna go ahead and change this to 160. That way, if we want to add any additional products, or if we have additional sales transactions, they would be automatically captured. Go ahead and press enter. And now we see we have a full list here of all of our products. But as you can see with our unique function, we have a little bit of an issue. We have this pesky little 0 showing up here. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna combine the unique and filter function together to go ahead and get rid of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into our function right here, and then we have unique, and I'm double click right before that and add in filter. And I'm gonna go ahead and select our array right here, which is E6 to E160. Then go ahead and press comma, and then go ahead and select that array once more. I'll just go ahead and type it in just because it's a little bit easier. And then I'm gonna put in the do not equals, and then I'm gonna do a double quotation, which tells us to ignore any blank cells. And I'll put a double parentheses in there and then press enter. And then just like that, our 0 disappears. So we also want to find the total revenue associated with all of our products. So in cell K10, I'm gonna do equals SUMIF, press tab to lock it in. Go ahead and select our range, which would be all of our products right here. And then I'm just going to change that to 160 to capture anything that we might add additionally. I'm going to press comma and then select our criteria, which is going to be our pro laptop. And then go ahead and select our sum range, which will be our revenue. Again, drop that load to 160 and then press enter. See, it doesn't retrieve anything, but let's go ahead and update our revenue real quick. Back in dashboard visual, I'll press equals unit price times our quantity and drop that low. Go back to our dashboard and you see that we have a value associated with it. Go ahead and drop that down low and you see now we have all of our total revenues associated with all of our products. And then we're going to do a SUMIF also for all of our total revenue. So I'll do equal SUMIF again, and then go ahead and select my range for my region and then press comma. And then our criteria will be the north because we have that on our filter. We'll press comma and then we'll select our sum range. Again, just drop that low down to 160 and then press parentheses to lock that in. And you see that our total is 12,975, which equals our value right here as well. But what's great about this is if I want to change this to west, everything automatically and dynamically updates. There's no fumbling around or updating anything or changing anything. We have everything there easy for us. And then what I can do just to make a nice header to make everything look clean and presentable, I'm going to do equals, and then I'm going to select our F1, our dynamic dropdown, and you'll see why in just a second. I'm going to press ampersand in quotations, space, quotations, ampersand, and then type in total revenue, dashboard, close it, and then press enter. And now you see we have an East total revenue dashboard, but I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and select date right here and use the format painter and go like that. But you see it kind of looks a little sloppy. And a pro tip, don't ever use the merge and center because it can break your dashboard. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into format cells if you right click, and then under horizontal, we'll select center across selection and press OK. And now you see you have a beautiful header. We'll go ahead and do Alt HBO to select a bottom outline. Now everything looks great. And what's great about this is our header automatically updates as well with everything. So we can go ahead and Control Shift right arrow to go ahead and hide that for us. And now we have a beautiful dashboard that updates automatically every time we update our data. And look at that. We just took a process that usually takes an hour or two of copying and pasting and turned it into a 30-second audit. The heavy lifter in that last section was the SUMIFs, and it's arguably the most important function for any analyst to master. I actually have a deep dive video that breaks down the SUMIFs logic step by step so you can handle complex criteria. Click this video right here to master it, and I'll see you there.